Hi, and welcome to Cannabasics. Today, we learn how to make Grandma's Merryjuana balls. Now, this is basically a cannabis-infused version of the classic holiday sausage cheese balls. Here's what you need to make them. You need an 1/8 ounce, that's 3.5 grams of dried cannabis flowers, 1 pound of spicy breakfast sausage, 1 pound of sharp cheddar cheese, grated, 2 cups of buttermilk biscuit mix, and that's the same as one 1 3/4 ounce package of Bisquick. All right, now that we have all the ingredients together, let's get started. Okay, the first step, as is often the case with edibles recipe, is going to be to grind the cannabis. But when I say that we need to grind the cannabis fine, what I mean this time is we really need to grind it fine. I'm using the Space Case grinder because it's the one that I think grinds it the finest, and I'm really grinding it several times around. And then to make sure that it's extra fine, after I grind it the first time, I'm going to reload it back into the grinder, the whole 1/8 of an ounce, and I'm going to grind it again. Now, it gets it kind of gummy and a little powdery, and you might need a knife to use a knife to scrape out all the cannabis from the grinder, but make sure you grind that extra fine. Put that in an oven-proof bowl, and I like to put foil over the top to keep down the smell, and we're going to put that in the oven to decarboxylate it, to activate it. I'm going to go 250 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. After that, it's going to be a lightly toasted brown. It's going to be highly aromatic. You're going to have kind of an ammonia smell that you smell off of your cannabis. And then we're going to be able to go ahead and move on to the next step, which is going to be to infuse. So we've decarbed, and now we're going to infuse. And unlike a lot of the other recipes where we use an oil to infuse, today we're going to actually be infusing into the meat itself. There's plenty of saturated fat in this sausage meat here, and we're going to be infusing into that. The reason we're infusing is for bioavailability, and the reason we're also going to be doing it this way is because we're going to be softening the plant material, and we're going to be using the spices, the salt, the acids in the meat to break down the plant material. And so what we're doing is we've flattened the meat out flat, and then lightly sprinkled the activated cannabis and ground cannabis evenly over the top of that, and then we're going to roll it from each end towards each other, and then roll and tuck up the ends like a loaf of bread. And then now we're going to wrap that meat tightly. And this infusion, because we're going to do it cold, is going to take several hours. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator, and we're going to let it infuse for a minimum of 8 hours, and for preferably overnight. 12 to 24 hours is fine. And once during the middle of that time, at least once, and you can do it 2 or 3 times, you want to take the meat out and fold it over in itself on threes, kind of like you're kneading bread, and just knead it. And what we're doing is mixing that cannabis in through the meat, making sure that we get it thoroughly mixed, and also helping to increase the infusion rate by exposing the cannabis to more of the saturated fats that have not touched it yet. And also it's going to help make sure that it's evenly distributed, so that you don't have one sausage ball that's a lot more strong than the other one. Okay, and after it has thoroughly infused for the minimum of 8 hours, preferably overnight, up to 12 to 24 hours, you're going to need to bring the meat up to room temperature before you start mixing it. It's going to make things mix a lot easier. So I'd like to flatten it out again, and then that lets it heat up a little bit faster. And so once your ingredients have come up to room temperature, you're going to mix in about half of your Biscuit mix, and mix that in with your hands, and then mix in the other half of the Bisquick mix and keep mixing. It's going to seem like you don't have enough moisture in the meat, so it's going to be kind of dry and clunky, but just keep kneading at it. And once you knead the dough, the more the moisture that will come out, mix it with the flour, and it's going to eventually come into a pinkish looking moist mixture that's very stiff. At that point, you can go ahead and mix in your cheese. I like to mix in about 1/3 at a time. This is a really stiff dough. It'd be very difficult to mix this with a hand mixer or a spoon, so just get in there and work it with your hands. If it kind of grosses you out and it's too oily, just put a pair of gloves on and just dig in there and have fun. Okay, but once you get your mixture completely mixed together, it's going to kind of form together much like a dough ball would. And at that point, you can start forming out your individual sausage balls. I'm going to go for a serving of 24 balls, which is about 6 servings of 4 balls apiece, and we're going for about the size of a large English walnut. If you wanted 36 balls, you could use about a tablespoon serving. 4 of these balls is a pretty good serving for the amount of marijuana that you get. I ate about 4, and I got a pretty good high, about the same equivalent that is if I'd ate a pretty good size weed brownie. If you wanted to make these more potent, you could add more cannabis. But once you get them balled out, you're going to put them in an oven that's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to cook them for 20 to 25 minutes. You're going to be able to tell when they're done. The top of them is going to be nice, kind of a darkened brown, and the bottom you'll be able to see that the cheese has melted down and formed into a nice, crunchy, kind of a hard little crusty bottom. And if you ever had these sausage balls at parties, and most of us have, they're so popular at Halloween, at Thanksgiving and Christmas parties, that probably anyone has tried them, but you've never tried them like Granny's marijuana balls. These things will make you feel really good. You're going to be feeling the spirit of the holidays, that's for sure, after a few of these. This episode of Cannabasics is brought to you by the Ruffhouse Studios Smoke Shop. We sell vaporizers, wax pens, raw rolling papers, and accessories, and much more at great prices. Save 10% off everything with the code Cannabasics. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for Grandma's marijuana balls. If you did, please hit the like button. Also, please subscribe to Ruffhouse Studios for more cannabis culture videos made just for you. And make sure that you have notifications turned on so that you get notified when we release our new videos, which we do about 2 or 3 times a week. This is Matt for Ruffhouse Studios. Thanks for watching.